Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, EM ends my engagement and gets me banned from a steakhouse all in one night. The one time I make a decision for myself and stand my ground, it ends in non-contact. Advice needed, please. Mom who was furious over not going to my graduation, the aftermath. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM ends my engagement and gets me banned from a steakhouse all in one night. Oh my gosh, so glad I found this sub. Here we go. I can finally air my uncensored frustration about the night my engagement was single-handedly corrupted by my entitled mother-in-law. Let's call her Ellen because she always reminded me of Ellen DeGeneres, even before all this recent news broke. Okay, so my girlfriend and I were really engaged to be engaged. We'd both agreed we wanted to get married, but I hadn't done the formal proposal yet because we wanted to meet each other's families first, neither lived nearby. I always thought the old trope about meeting the in-laws being a big fiasco was a myth, both because I was younger and more naive then, and because I'm lucky to have easy parents. My girlfriend met them for a few hours. Once we were alone, just me and them, I told them my intentions, and my mom asked, "Does she have any kids already?" And my dad asked, "Does she have a good solid job?" And they both asked, "You really love her?" And that was that. I had their full support for the marriage. I thought meeting her parents would be the same. Some grilling was to be expected, but as long as I was honest and respectful, it would all be fine. Relevant fact, they had my girlfriend when they were teenagers, by surprise, so now had a do-over daughter, their words, not mine, who was just 6 years old. My girlfriend and I made the trip up to their city and I met them for the first time over dinner at a steakhouse. It was pretty upscale, and we'd scheduled the dinner for 8 p.m., so I was surprised to see they'd brought the kid along with them. I met everyone at once and the initial awkwardness settled once we'd sat down. We were making great small talk when the 6-year-old said she was thirsty. No big deal, right? Well, all of a sudden Ellen starts screaming, "Water? Water! Water?" A waiter came rushing over to see what the commotion was and, without even making eye contact with the poor guy, Ellen went, "We've been here forever and no one's even gotten us any water. My daughter's been asking." We had been sitting for about 15 or 20 minutes without service, but they were visibly behind, and there were no circumstances that would have warranted that shouting. I should have realized from how unfazed everyone else at the table was that I should be bracing myself for a long night, but I couldn't imagine what was to come at that point. The waiter rushed over with water and apologized for the delay, explaining a few very large parties had arrived all at once. The guy was seemed sincere and quite affable, so I thought the water would just be an anomaly in an otherwise pleasant night. Then Ellen kicked into full gear. "We'll need a kids menu," she informed the waiter. He said that they didn't have a kids menu, but that the chef could simplify most dishes. "What do you mean you don't have a kids menu?" Ellen replied in total disbelief, as though he'd said they didn't have a fire exit. He explained they didn't get too many child visitors and that there were enough plain foods on the menu that no separate menu had ever been necessary. Ellen sighed dramatically and waved him away. Literally, without saying a word, waved him off from the table. I tried to give him an apologetic glance, but, understandably, he didn't look back our way. I was so glad the poor guy left and didn't have to be subjected to her anymore. Meanwhile, she turned her attention on me, and I almost wished he'd come back. At least he was getting paid to be here. She was like, "So you're a screenwriter?" And I explained, "Well, yes and no. I want to be, but it's hard to get a job in that field that you can support yourself on, so I'm working at a non-profit right now. There's a screenwriting component to the job though, so I'm really happy there." Ellen turned to her 6-year-old and went, "Hear that, hun? You want to be sure to snag a man who works for profit. Learn from this. It's not too late for you." I couldn't tell if she was trying to be funny or not. So, I just let it pass, looking over to my girlfriend to see if she was even considering speaking up on my behalf. Nope. The waiter came back, visibly nervous. That hurt, because he was so relaxed and personable at the start of the meal. He asked if we'd like to hear the specials before we ordered, and Ellen said sure. Here's how that went. Waiter, first we have a lightly seared strip steak. Ellen, next. Waiter, okay. Then we have a broiled leg of grass-fed. Ellen, next. Waiter, we have a pasta primavera mixed with. Ellen, neath extith. And on until he'd gone through all 7 or 10 specials, even though she ultimately ordered off the menu, a plain ribeye, well done. She tried to order her daughter the same, but the kid said she just wanted plain mashed potatoes, so Ellen let her get mashed potatoes alone for dinner. Then, she sent the waiter away. The rest of us hadn't even ordered yet. And everyone else just sat there like it was entirely normal. I waited for someone to say something, thinking it was more her older daughter, my girlfriend's, place or her husband's, but when no one did I couldn't help myself. Was the one steak and potatoes going to be for all of us, or? My girlfriend explained, in the tone you'd use for a tourist violating a sacred local taboo, my mom always has the waiter put the kids' food in first, so it can get started right away. We'll order once the kitchen has hers. I thought she was joking, since Ellen didn't just order her kids' food, she also ordered her own dinner too. So I laughed. Something funny? Ellen asked. Then I realized she was serious, and I shut up. Thankfully her dad at least recognized that what was normal for them might not be as regular to me and tried to lighten the mood with a change of topic. But not even 10 minutes after we'd ordered, I guess technically 5 minutes after we'd ordered, 10 minutes after she and her daughter had ordered, Ellen started in again. Another table, that had been there long before we were, got a side order of mashed potatoes with their meal. Ellen threw a total conniption. She was sputtering so inaudibly that none of us could figure out what was wrong at first. Finally she managed to flag down some busboy who barely spoke English and began laying into him like he'd just swiped her on the freeway. He kept trying to explain he wasn't a server and he could go get one, but she wouldn't stop to breath long enough for him to find someone who could actually help. All the while I kept looking at my girlfriend for signs of embarrassment, or at the very least irritation, but you wouldn't have known if she was even hearing any of this. Our waiter came over, somehow still feigning a smile despite knowing what he was walking into, and Ellen actually goes, "Why did that table get mashed potatoes and ours haven't come yet?" The waiter kindly but concisely explained, "Well ma'am, those people ordered potatoes before your party had placed their order." Ellen looks this man dead in the eye, finally, and says, "Well, it doesn't matter when they ordered it. My daughter is the youngest one here. Her food should come out first." You could tell the waiter was working hard to restrain himself at this point. He explained it was a first come, first served policy and age didn't help one way or the other. He offered to go check on the potatoes. Ellen agreed, or more specifically she said, "Yeah, you better," but I was clocking him and he went right back to his server station, because we had only just ordered a few minutes ago. 3 or 5 more minutes passed, during which we could have no other discussion at the table except how awful this restaurant was, how hungry the poor baby was, who hadn't said a word about being hungry this whole time and was contentedly playing her loud iPad game, without headphones, disturbing all the other diners around us, and how America has lost all respect for motherhood because it's just a me culture now. I chimed in, "I'm with you on that last part." And to my utter shock, instead of laughing at my joke, my girlfriend seemed annoyed with me. So after a few minutes the waiter comes back and says the potatoes will be out very soon. Ellen then goes and does something that, again, I thought was just a myth. She took 3 singles and a 5 out of her wallet and put them on the table in full view of the waiter. Then she took 1 single away and said, "Every table I see getting potatoes before us is a bill gone." I was absolutely mortified. The waiter, to his unending credit, just took a deep breath and said, "I don't have control over the order in which the kitchen fires tickets, but what I can tell you is it should be out any minute." And left without saying anything disparaging. I had been holding my tongue all night as well, in the name of my relationship, but once the tip hit the table, the $8 tip for a $100 plus bill, on top of all else, I figured if my girlfriend was half the woman I thought she was, then she wouldn't mind my speaking up at this point. If anything, she'd be supportive, right? So I scooted my chair back a bit and said, "Listen, I know what you're doing with the cash on the table, but that kind of thing makes me really uncomfortable, and it's just not called for. Please put the money away, or we can just continue this some other time." My girlfriend's dad spits back, "What? How cheap do you have to be to not believe in tipping service workers?" Before I could process whether he was serious or yanking my chain, Ellen shocked me with, "No, you know what, you're right, this isn't necessary." I should have known better than to be relieved. She folded the bills back into her wallet, patiently waited for the next plate of mashed potatoes to be carried out, and when it wasn't delivered to us, it was a very common side dish at this place, a steakhouse, she went right up to a stranger's table and picked it up off their table. She half explained something about her daughter starving to death as she was walking away with the stranger's food, but unsurprisingly, that wasn't convincing enough for them. The old lady she took it from followed her right over to our table and tried to take it back. I was already searching for my coat tag in preparation to go, but a shoving match was beginning to unfold between Ellen and an elderly woman with a tennis ball walker, and far be it from me to sit through all that had happened only to leave just as the night was getting interesting. The elderly woman was like, "Give me back my potatoes. Who are you?" And the poor little girl was like, "Mommy, it's okay, don't take someone else's potatoes." But it all fell on deaf ears. Ellen yelled at the old lady, "How could you sit there and eat these when my daughter hasn't even been served yet? She's sitting here hungry, just a little girl, and you're over there stuffing your face? Come on, other potatoes will be out any minute." And the old lady, got to love her, was like, "Great, if they'll be out any minute, then what's the problem?" To which Ellen still found holier than thou ground, gasping, "Language, please." Finally the waiter, and this time someone higher up as well, I think the manager, thank God, came over to separate them, as they had begun to raise their voices and cause a disturbance. Staff had already asked Ellen to turn down her daughter's iPad multiple times without heed, and I'm guessing the waiter informed management about the tip on the table, stunt she pulled, because this was their final straw. They told us we were going to have to leave the restaurant. "But we don't even have our food yet," Ellen complained at the guy. This was clearly not the manager's first rodeo. "You can take the food that's already been served free of charge, everything else will be cancelled. Please leave immediately." The old lady didn't miss her chance to knock the potatoes right onto the floor, so we couldn't try to take them with us. Nothing else had been served yet, so we had to leave without any food. When my girlfriend and I were finally alone in our car, she said, "Can you believe that?" And I said, "Not at all. And I really can't believe you didn't warn me." And she went, "How could I have known about any of that?" And, confused, I asked, "Is she not usually like that?" Even more confused than me, my girlfriend asked, "Who?" "Your mom." "What's my mom got to do with the terrible service at that place?" That was the beginning of the end of our relationship. The fact that she didn't see anything wrong with her mom's behavior, and that I'd be marrying into that situation, shook me too deep. We both dodged a bullet in more ways than one. In hindsight, we weren't right for each other, regardless of who her family was. Her mom saved us both a lot of time and heartache, helping me realize in one night what would have probably taken us years otherwise. Within a month we'd moved into separate apartments and gone on a break that ended up lasting forever. I'm not sorry I won't see you again, Ellen. I am sorry any waitstaff ever will, though. Dodged a bullet, is to say the least. Imagine having kids, or a divorce. I'd never seen this side of her personality, and we'd been great friends even before we'd gotten romantically involved, so I really want to believe this was not her dominant side and just some dark crevice that lurked within her. We weren't right for each other for a lot of other, less extreme reasons, too. But whichever it was, you're 100% right. 1000% right. Every time this story crosses my mind, I'm steeped in relief I didn't have kids with her, huh? I literally gasped when she asked what her mother had to do with the service. I cannot believe you sat there for so long during that. I'm glad you got out. What a twist! On par with that scene from Get Out. And the poor little girl was like, "Mommy, it's okay, don't take someone else's potatoes." So there's a chance that the entitled gene didn't pass on to this one. Faith in humanity slightly restored. Yeah, I mean, her other daughter was also mostly normal and kind for the entire time I knew her. So whatever this gene was laid dormant until triggered. Maybe by having kids? Thankfully, I never found out. I know people confront different personalities when they're with or without their families, but good lord, dude. You should have sent Ellen flowers for saving you from that level of misery. Or at least a bag of potatoes and a dollar bill bouquet. As someone who does put up a drastically different personality in public, I am not a bad person in any way. I am just extremely uncomfortable in public, so I don't really show off my personality. It honestly isn't surprising to me that her personality was that different. Wow. She thinks that was the worst service. I say they were very patient with the kiddo and your ex's mother. I would have kicked only those two out. The one time I make a decision for myself and stand my ground, it ends in non-contact. Advice needed, please. Posted my story on a couple of other communities, and I was recommended this one for advice from people in similar situations. Apologies for the length of my post. I am looking for advice on how to move forward from this situation, please. Myself, 32M, and my fiancé, 29F, have been engaged for over 6 months and had planned a wedding with family and friends, which we were paying for entirely. Due to budget and guest number restrictions, we opted to exclude some family members that we weren't particularly close to and haven't seen for years on both sides. I instead wanted my friends there who I'm extremely close to and are like family to me. This decision upset my mom. She said that the decision was hurtful to her to not have her family, and their partners who I haven't met, invited, despite my explaining that I wasn't really close to them. Some of my cousins I haven't seen for over 10 years, and it would mean excluding some of my closest friends who mean the world to me. This caused a lot of friction, and ultimately me and my fiancé decided to change our plans from a wedding to a smaller wedding in New York with just us two. We couldn't cope with the stress, politics and demands that turned into pleasing everyone but ourselves. We're both really anxious people. My mom was very supportive of this, she even suggested it to us as an option. I deeply value my mom's opinion, so this was a huge relief for me. My family were happy with a live stream of the ceremony and a party when we return, all family included. Me and my fiancé decided to bring one friend each to our smaller wedding to act as witnesses. They are paying for themselves to come. My family regrettably found out on Instagram stories as my fiancé posted about friends coming, and I hadn't gotten round to telling my family yet. This decision infuriated my mom and 2 siblings. They felt betrayed and hurt they had been excluded from our plans. My mom told me that the decision had her crying all day, and that as my mom, she feels deeply hurt. When I called her to understand what exactly it was she was upset about, she told me that she found it very concerning that I don't know why she was upset. She made me apologize to my siblings for my decision. We thought having a post-wedding celebration when we returned from New York, all family included, would have been a nice compromise. Following this, my mom said that we have acted in a thoughtless way and that there had been a pattern of thoughtlessness over recent weeks with mine and my fiancé's behavior. There have been some occasions in the past where my fiancé has unintentionally hurt my family. These examples include having to rearrange a family meetup by an hour as my fiancé had accidentally double booked herself, which my mom said caused stress to my autistic sister. Another occasion was during a lighthearted discussion about my family asking my fiancée about which of our cats is her favorite. My fiancée blurted out about my mom having a favorite child in a lighthearted manner in response. Both these occasions upset my family. My fiancée apologized immediately when both occasions happened and was incredibly remorseful that they even happened. She apologized to my autistic sister as well about the time change and made a real effort to make the meetup really fun for her. She hates when she makes mistakes, as she puts so much effort into my family. My fiancée has ADHD, which she has been recently diagnosed with, and has also been referred for an autism assessment. Although ADHD isn't an excuse, it's an explanation for her occasional blurting out or poor time management, especially as she is unmedicated at the moment. These are things we are working on together, and these instances of upset to my family, my fiancé has apologized for, taken responsibility for, and tried to make amends for, not using ADHD as an excuse, but acknowledging their feelings and apologizing, and offering an explanation on why she has occasional blips in her behavior. Something I feel like she shouldn't really need to do. For my mom to bring these back up and label them as thoughtless really hurt my fiancé. My fiancé really struggles with elements of social interaction and has made a real effort to be liked and loved by my family. She has done a lot of good, and for these previously resolved instances to be brought back up felt like a bit of a jab, given her ADHD difficulties. My fiancé contacted my mom explaining why she felt hurt and asked for an apology. My mom didn't reply. I sided with my fiancé, which was a no-brainer for me. It has been very difficult though, as I was incredibly close to my family. We would speak daily, so it feels like a huge void missing. I have feelings of guilt for not reaching out to them, or if I could be doing more to resolve this. I have now learned that it may be to do with being enmeshed. My mom, on the evening of the fallout, started posting pictures of my autistic sister on her social media, saying how proud she is of her, not using her disabilities as an excuse. Although it could have been a genuine post, given the context of the fallout, it felt like another jab that upset my fiancé. This led to my fiancé blocking my mom to avoid seeing posts that were upsetting her, a decision I supported. When I calmly spoke to my mom about how she made my fiancé feel, she said, "If you think I don't have empathy and understanding, then that says a lot about what you think of me." My middle sister messaged me a few days later, saying my fiancé blocking my mom was childish, calling her manipulative for getting upset whenever there is conflict, despite her ADHD and emotional regulation being a huge limitation, and that my fiancé hasn't thought about my youngest autistic sibling's feelings throughout this conflict. My sister also said that my fiancé's message to my mom was patronizing and demanding of an apology, and how she shouldn't speak to my mom that way. She said how she won't sit idly as my fiancé hurts our family, and how she may one day be civil to my fiancé, but it will never be the same. I responded defending my fiancé and that I won't allow her to be punished for mistakes she's made as a result of her ADHD, that she has already apologized for and taken responsibility for. I felt bringing her mistakes back up is hurtful, counterproductive, and undermines the progress she has made. When I look back, I wish I had fought our corner even more, but I was in such shock that this was all happening, as I was always very close to my family. My grandparents called me to say that my youngest sister was upset I hadn't messaged her during this period, and it was sad due to her autism, which made me feel incredibly guilty. My other sister that messaged then blocked me on all social media. We are now all non-contact. I haven't spoken to any of them, it's been months. Due to making a decision for me, for once. It feels as though the only way contact will happen is if I message them first, apologizing and admitting I am wrong. I am not in a state to do that. It feels like a stalemate. Just to note, I'm now in therapy and on meds for depression, dealing with being non-contact. It was exhausting just reading all that. Stay far away and love your family from a distance. You are creating a new family and need to build a foundation for that primary relationship. But it is okay for them to constantly talk about how hurt your autistic sister is. Nope. Your family sounds seriously enmeshed and your mother sounds manipulative, controlling and loves to victimize herself. Stand your ground. Stay away. Just from reading this, it sounds like your mother is testing the waters to figure out how much she can get away with WRT dumping on your fiancé. She is upset because you didn't take the bait and you are doing exactly what you should do, which is putting your fiancé first. In any situation where your family of origin is trying to make you choose between them and the person you are marrying/married to, you have to side with the person you are making marriage vows to. It may upset your family of origin and they may make a huge drama over it, but that's just too bad. You need to draw those lines in the sand early. Your wedding plan and who invited and did not include were completely reasonable. Yes, mistakes happens and people get mixed up. That's no reason for what your family has done. It's a good thing you set boundaries and went in see. Maybe after some time you can try to talk to them again, but you're doing nothing wrong. Your mom is toxic, and you have broken the control she had on you. You weren't wrong, mom overstepped and is pissed she lost. Stop feeling guilty for doing what is best for you and fiancé. Tell mom's flying monkeys to stay in their own lane. Mom who was furious over not going to my graduation, the aftermath. Hi all, I had another post about how my mother went absolutely insane over how I didn't go to my college graduation. It's too much to explain, but that's the gist. I think my post is still on my profile and in this sub if you wish to reference. Last weekend, when she was home from work and I was subjected to hours of interrogation. There was originally a lot of silent treatment, but midday Saturday, my dad suggested I apologize to her, since I didn't go to my own grad. I know it's dumb. My apology was met with screaming about how I'm ungrateful, I'm a bad/evil person, I shat on my whole family, stuff about good Catholic education is, and I've blocked out the rest. 1 minute I was told to go to my room, the next minute I was screamed at to get out cause I had to spend more time with the family. By Saturday evening, I was made to sit on the living room couch and stay out. I sat through an AFL game, the cricket that had been televised from England, TV shows my twin siblings were watching. I was constantly questioned by my mom what I was hiding and what I have wrong with me, why am I the way that I am, because I have been scarring the kids. I hadn't eaten much for days because I was too scared to walk around the house. Obviously I was weak and cold cause my own mother is making me well aware that I am a bad person. I deserve bad things to happen to me. After Saturday night, I ended up with chilblains. I took a shower on Sunday morning and pulled out burnt strands of my hair, probably from when I tried to hide next to an electric heater. Over the next few days things gradually started to get a little better. I'm not sure why, but mom little by little started talking to me again, even if it was just you still haven't told us why you decided to throw away chance to go to your graduation. There is no why. I hated being at a Catholic college, but I can never tell her that. I have faced numerous punishments since, and I am going to continue to pay for what I did for a long time. Whatever chance I could, I read through my college's policy and procedures to see if I would be allowed to attend another ceremony. My university has many throughout the year, for each semester. Mom just wanted the smiling photos and to have a whole look at what my kid did moment, so I felt compelled to something to end this nightmare. On Monday morning, I had to take the car to be serviced, and I had a few hours wait. While I waited at this Kia Motors place, I sat there sending a few emails and making a few calls regarding my enrollment and finish date so I could still be eligible for a ceremony. On Wednesday morning, I received an email saying I am on the list for spring graduation. I am going to pay for every ticket. My last post said I think it's nearly $100, found out it's actually $165 per guest, and will be officially confirmed closer to the date. This was all done without her knowing it, but she was home from work for a few days since this grief has made her sick. She just didn't go to work for 3 days. I still feel too scared to tell my mom that I fixed it for her. I told my brothers about the graduation ceremonies and how afraid I was, and they actually laughed at me. Being males, they aren't treated the same as me. I asked them, but don't you hate how angry she gets? They both said they were completely numb to it and didn't care. I'm just full of fear and I don't know what to do. I do want to tell my dad, who's fat, more reasonable than mom, but I'm frozen. F21. If you keep being scared, your life is never going to change. Make a plan to leave, then leave. Don't tell anyone in your family. Leave a note and your phone and don't look back. Yep. You're an adult now, time to get out of the nest. And take all your important documents, birth certificate, passport, etc. Honestly, if you don't want to go to a graduation ceremony, then don't go. It feels like you would just be rewarding bad behavior. Get a cap and gown and get a picture done for your mom and call it good. You have your degree. Get a job and move out. By making this graduation happen, you are tattooing the word doormat on your forehead and telling your mother that all she has to do is throw a fit and treat you like shit to get her way. You know you want to go, but running away in the night is not the answer, and bringing it up before you are ready will only make things harder. My suggestion is to spend a week or two taking things that are important to you to your BF's place or a storage unit. After you've got the small and important things, papers, memories, pictures, out-of-season clothes, it'll be time to tell them that you are moving out. You have to be completely honest, even if it hurts and is scary AF. If you want to be treated like an adult, you've got to act like one. When she starts her shit, you can pack up the last of your clothes and just go. Don't ever let her guilt you about the time she spent going back to school. That was her choice to compete with you. Good luck, sweetie. Honey, move to your brother's if he'll let you while you save some money from your job for your own place, and move the heck out of there and go no contact. You don't deserve that kind of toxicity in your life. Your mother is making this all about her. Read this website out off the fog.website and see what resonates regarding your mother. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.